What's up, guys? So I wanted to come on here on this nice day, 75 degrees out just about. And I wanted to give you my thoughts on a lot of the recent COVID-19 case, news going on, the cases news going on. And not just that, but, just come out and kind of basically overall say that, when it's all said and done, it's just gonna be hard to believe what anybody, political-wise and media-wise, news media-wise, has to say. Because let's start off with our president. Yesterday he came out and he did a press conference for COVID-19, and he basically said two things and these two things are something that folks that have warned folks basically will come out and say, hey, we warned you about this guy, we warned you it was a mistake to vote him in, we'll take advantage of and run with. And that is the fact that in this press conference speech, he talked about the fact that, he urges or recommends local and state governments to slow down reopenings and reinstate mask mandates. But then later on, he talks about the uptake in vaccinations and how mid-April, April 16th, a lot of people should be eligible, adults that is, for the vaccination. And that the goal basically is by 4th of July, America's birthday, to get back to some kind of semi-normalcy. People will take advantage of that, and like I said, run with it and say, see, this is why you shouldn't have voted for this guy. And then on top of that, you have the director of the CDC coming out and not only saying something similar to where like vaccinations are going up, the numbers are going and becoming positive with more people being vaccinated, but you have the CDC director also stating that, if we go astray and we don't stay afloat, there's going to be impending doom. Impending doom? Really? I mean, basically that's what she foresees could happen, is impending doom. Really? And a lot of people will take what she said we'll take what she said there, especially the impending doom part, and they'll point out, see, this is nothing more than a scare tactic. And they're going to say the same thing. They're going to say the same thing, if you will, when it comes to the news outlets, the news media, and how they, overhype things or how they overstate things in headlines. And then when you read the article, it's not as bad as the headline, makes it out to be. And that this is nothing more than a scare tactic to keep us, where we are, to keep us as we are right now, to basically make sure, that we stay afloat, that we stay course, to make sure this, virus goes away or is, eliminated, or at least, what's the word I'm looking for? Basically, balanced out, basically to make sure this virus, is not the threat it once was, that it becomes just something that, if it does come back, is looked at as a regular, seasonal virus or flu or virus or whatever. And, again, this all comes, and this all, like I said, this all basically, comes along with the fact that you have all these, articles, like I said, coming out with the headlines stating this and stating that, and then the numbers they use, like, some of them are saying they're basically making a big deal out of 10 to 25% uptake in cases, and yet people will be like, okay, fine, but is that negative or positive? And they're not getting an answer. And then on top of that, when they read these articles about the uptake in cases, they also read the number of deaths a day, and they're like, really? That many people passed because of COVID? I don't believe it. Because all it is, again, to them, is a scare tactic to keep us a course, to keep us to stay afloat, if you will, and make sure we don't, forget our rudders and, end up drowning in a sea of COVID-19 that we could have prevented if we would have stayed the course. So, like I said, when it's all said and done, it's still, a lot of people, whether they, back what Biden is saying and back what, some of the politicians are doing and saying, and the CDC and WHO is saying and doing, when it's all said and done, they, along with those that are doubters, those that are criticizers, those that basically will say, hey, see, we told you so, you know, overall, they're all going to agree that when it's all said and done, and we're back to some kind of normalcy, you know, by the end of the year, or at least midway in the summer, they're going to basically look at this and say, yep, you know, we can't believe anything they say anymore. They're going to agree upon that. They're going to agree that they can't believe a word that the, you know, Washington or even the news media, you know, say anymore, because to them, they make a big sensation out of something that, yeah, the numbers show an increase, but the numbers are down lower than expected, and you're not telling us exactly what's positive and negative. So again, when it's all said and done, it's going to be hard to believe, you know, a single word. And that's what, in my opinion, that's what we're leading towards. I mean, it's hard to believe what the news outlets say now. It's hard to believe what Washington says now. But again, when it's all said and done, it's going to be even worse. Because even if something major happens, you know, nobody's going to believe it at first. Nobody's going to believe a word that news media says or anybody else says, because they're going to be like, oh, yeah, whatever. Okay, so that happened. Big deal. You know, we don't believe it. And when they actually do see that maybe what they were reporting is indeed true, that's going to be on the media's fault. Well, that's going to be on the media's head. That's going to be on Washington's heads, on the heads in Washington, because basically to a lot of people, you know, they made it hard to a lot of people that supported them and didn't support them. They made it hard to believe anything at all. They made it hard to believe anything at all, especially during the pandemic, especially during this whole COVID situation. So when it's all said and done, I hate to say it, I think the news outlets overall, the major, local, and online and all that, and in the political world of Washington, D.C., in local and state governments, when it's all said and done, they're going to have a huge hill to climb and rebuild when it comes, they're going to have a huge hill to climb, what I'm trying to say, to rebuild any trust in the public's eyes. That's what's going to happen. It's going to take them a long time to rebuild that trust they once had with the public, because they're basically, in a lot of people's eyes, those that support and those that don't support, those that believe don't believe, you know, they're making a big sensation out of, you know, things that, yes, need to be taken seriously, but, you know, are not true to what they're reporting them as. You know, because the headlines can say one thing, but then the articles will say something else. And then when you look at the world of Washington again, you know, you'll have our president saying one thing and then saying another, you know, contradicting himself in the eyes of few in this press conference. And then you have Kamala Harris being gifted, as some people would say, a loaded weapon, or whatever it was, whatever responsibility, when it comes to the border crisis and other things. So yeah, when it's all said and done, 2022, yeah, it's going to be a year of electing new Senate members and new members of Senate and the House and governors. But in the end, it's also going to be a year where the rebuilding of the trust of the public and of the people when it comes to politicals of Washington, D.C. and the news media is going to begin as well. So let me know what your thoughts are down below. Comment if you will in the live chat during the premiere. But that's all I can say, guys. God bless. Take care. Get vaccinated. And I am out.